In the last episode of a tale that would change the course of human history, the stage was set for a new era of exploration and discovery. The remnants of a once thriving civilization struggled to survive on a ravaged Earth, while the ambitious and charismatic entrepreneur, Ambrose Wynter, stood poised to alter the fate of humanity forever. As I stood on the precipice of a new era, I gazed out upon the desolate wasteland that was once our home. The ruins of skyscrapers, the skeletal remains of a bygone era, pierced the smog-choked sky like shards of glass. The air reeked of smoke and desperation. Yet, amidst this devastation, a spark within me burned brighter than ever. What if this was our chance to rise from the ashes, to forge a new destiny among the stars? My thoughts were interrupted by the hum of the comms device on my wrist. An urgent message from my trusted ally, Kale, flashed on the screen. His usually stoic demeanor was replaced by an air of urgency. "Ambrose, we've received a distress signal from a group of Zeridians stranded on the planet's surface. They're requesting our assistance." My mind racing, I weighed the risks and benefits of intervening. The Zeridians, with their insectoid physiology and hive mind culture, were an enigmatic species. Their technology, though primitive, held secrets we had yet to unlock. I made my decision. This could be our chance to forge a valuable alliance. I turned to my second-in-command, Maya, her eyes locked on mine with a mix of concern and determination. "Maya, assemble a team. We're heading out to aid the Zeridians. This may be the key to securing a crucial partnership." Her nod was all the confirmation I needed. As we descended onto the planet's surface in our shuttlecraft, the landscape unfolded before us like a twisted canvas of rust and ash. The Zeridian distress signal grew stronger, guiding us toward a makeshift encampment. The air was thick with tension as we disembarked, our suits protecting us from the harsh environment. The Zeridians, with their chitinous exoskeletons and multifaceted eyes, emerged from their shelters. Their clicking, chirping language was a cacophony of desperation. I stepped forward, my hand extended in a gesture of peace. "Greetings. I hail from Earth's New Dawn initiative. We've come to offer our assistance." The lead Zeridian, its carapace adorned with intricate patterns, regarded me with an unblinking stare. "Your timing is fortunate, Ambrose Wynter. Our hive is beset on all sides by the raiders. We've suffered losses. Your aid would be appreciated." I nodded, a plan forming in my mind. "Tell me, what do you know of these raiders?" The Zeridian's response sent a shiver down my spine. "They come from the shadows, armed with technology that defies our understanding. Their leader, a human, is a ruthless tactician. He seeks to exploit our resources for his own gain." "A human, you say? That changes things." My thoughts turned to the implications. A human rival, operating outside the boundaries of our fledgling alliances, could pose a significant threat to our plans. I made a mental note to share this intelligence with Kale and the others. Our strategies would need to adapt to this new information. As I worked with the Zeridians to devise a plan to counter the raiders, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, that our actions would set off a chain reaction, drawing us into a complex web of intergalactic politics. The stars above seemed to twinkle with a newfound sense of possibility, and I knew that our journey was just beginning. But for now, we had a battle to win. Let us prepare to defend our new allies and forge a path toward a brighter future. The hum of our equipment, the chatter of the Zeridians, and the distant rumble of the raiders' approach created a symphony of anticipation. I steeled myself for the challenges ahead, aware that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The unknown was calling. I was ready to answer. As the raiders closed in, their sinister intentions clear, I knew that our resolve would be tested. Would we emerge victorious, or would the shadows consume us? Only time would tell. The air was heavy with anticipation as we prepared to face the raiders. Maya's team worked in tandem with the Zeridians, establishing a perimeter defense around their makeshift encampment. I watched as the two species worked together, their initial wariness giving way to a sense of urgency and cooperation. Kale's voice echoed in my earpiece, his calm tone a stark contrast to the chaos brewing around us. Ambrose, we've hacked into the Raiders' frequency. It seems they're receiving real-time support from a mysterious benefactor, providing them with advanced tech and intel. My grip on my rifle tightened. This changed everything. A rival faction, backed by unknown forces, threatened to upend our fragile alliances. Keep monitoring their comms, Kale. We need to know who's pulling the strings. A chorus of clicks and chirps erupted from the Zeridian leaders, their hive mind sensing the approaching raiders. The ground trembled beneath our feet as the enemy emerged from the dusty horizon. The raiders' leader, a towering figure in a black exosuit, sneered at us from the shadows of his helmet. His voice was laced with malice, echoing through the comms system. Ambrose Wynter, you're a fool for getting involved. You think these insects are worth saving. They are nothing but pawns in a larger game. My eyes locked onto the Raiders' leader, a spark of recognition igniting within me. I knew that voice, that tone. You're a long way from home, Victor LaSalle. I never thought I'd see the day you'd stoop to raiding vulnerable species. The Raiders' leader, my former business rival, chuckled, the sound devoid of humor. You're just as naive as ever, Ambrose. This is about power, about forging a new order in the galaxy, and it'll stop at nothing to achieve it. Maya's hand on my shoulder steadied me, her warning glance a reminder to keep my cool. We had our enemy and we had our motive. It was time to put an end to this. Let's move out, team. We've got a raider to take down. The battle erupted in a cacophony of gunfire and screams, the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. I charged forward, my heart pounding in my chest, as the fate of humanity teetered on the edge of chaos. The air was electric with tension as I sprinted towards the fray, my rifle at the ready. Maya flanked me, her eyes locked on the Raiders' position. Kale's steady voice guided us, feeding us real-time intelligence on the enemy's movements. The Zeridians swarmed around us, their bioluminescent markings flashing in sync with the battle rhythm. Their chitinous armor glistened in the fading light as they unleashed a hail of projectiles that ripped through the raiders' ranks. Victor LaSalle's voice taunted me, echoing through the comm system. You're no match for me, Ambrose. I've been preparing for this moment for years. I gritted my teeth, focusing on the task at hand. The raiders' superior firepower was matched only by their ruthless tactics. We had to hold our ground or risk losing everything we'd fought for. A burst of gunfire sent me diving for cover behind a nearby boulder. Maya landed beside me, her expression grim. We need to take out their heavy hitters, she growled, eyes fixed on the enemy's position. We can't let them pin us down. I nodded, scanning the area for an opening. Kale's voice whispered in my ear, Ambrose, I've hacked into the raiders' systems. I can guide your shots. I nodded, taking a deep breath. This was it, our make-or-break moment. All right, let's do this, I whispered, shouldering my rifle. Meyer and I exchanged a look, and then we were moving, our rifles blazing as we pushed forward. Kale's voice guided us, directing our fire with precision. The battle raged on, the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. I knew every second counted. One misstep and we'd be overwhelmed. Suddenly, a blinding flash lit up the sky. A massive energy shield materialized around the raiders' position, repelling our projectiles and sending our forces stumbling back. What in the? Maya's voice trailed off, eyes fixed on the shimmering barrier. Victor LaSalle's laughter boomed through the comm system. You should have stayed out of this, Ambrose. You're no match for the true power players in the galaxy. Rage coursed through my veins as I realized the extent of Victor's betrayal. Head never intended to just raid the Zeridians. Head planned to use this as a demonstration of his newfound power, to cow the entire galaxy into submission. Not if I had anything to say about it. Fall back, team, I barked, already thinking 3 steps ahead. We need a new plan and fast. Meyer and the Zeridians retreated, regrouping behind a nearby ridge. I followed, my mind racing with possibilities. Kale, can you hack into the shield's frequency? I demanded, eyes locked on the shimmering barrier. "I'm on it, Ambrose," Kale replied, his fingers flying across his console, "but it's going to take some time. Time we didn't have." I gazed out at the battle-scarred landscape, my heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. This was far from over, and I knew exactly what we had to do to turn the tide. "Maya, we need to get creative," I whispered, a plan forming in my mind. "We're going to take this fight to the next level." Maya's eyes narrowed as she grasped the implications of my words. "You're thinking we can outmaneuver the shield somehow?" I nodded, my mind racing with the possibilities. "We need to find a way to disable it, or at least create an opening." "Kale, how long until you can hack the frequency?" "10 minutes, maybe less," Kale replied, his voice laced with tension. "But Ambrose, we're running out of time. The raiders are regrouping and they won't hesitate to attack once they've reorganized." I gritted my teeth, my gaze locked on the shimmering barrier. "We can't let them get the upper hand. Maya, can you coordinate with the Zeridians? We need to create a diversion, something to draw the raiders' attention away from Kale's hacking attempt." Maya nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. "I'll get the Zeridians to create a smoke screen on the eastern flank. If we're lucky, it'll give Kale the time he needs to breach the shield." As Maya sprinted off to coordinate with the Zeridians, I turned to Kale. "How's the hacking going? Any progress?" Kale's fingers flew across his console, his brow furrowed in concentration. "I'm close, Ambrose, I can feel it. But Victor's got some of the best cyber warriors in the galaxy on his payroll. It's going to take everything I've got to outsmart them." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. This was our best chance to turn the tide of the battle. I glanced up at the shield, my gaze piercing through the shimmering energy field. Victor LaSalle thought he had the upper hand, but I had a surprise waiting for him. The Zeridian smoke screen erupted on the eastern flank, a wall of churning smoke and flames that sent the raiders scrambling to respond. Maya's voice crackled through the comm system. "Now's our chance, Kale. Go." Kale's fingers danced across his console, his eyes locked on the scrolling code. The air was electric with tension as we waited for the results of his hacking attempt. The shield's energy output began to fluctuate, its power output wavering. And then, in a burst of light, the shield collapsed, its energy dissipating into the air. The raiders stumbled back, caught off guard by the sudden turn of events. A fierce grin spread across my face. Now it's our turn. With a battle cry, our forces surged forward, Maya and the Zeridians leading the charge. I followed, my rifle blazing as we tore into the raiders' disorganized ranks. Victor LaSalle's laughter echoed through the comm system, but I knew the game was far from over. The battle raged on, the outcome hanging precariously in the balance. But I knew one thing for certain: I wouldn't stop until Victor LaSalle was brought to justice, and the galaxy was safe from his tyranny. As the fight wore on, I glimpsed Victor's face on the comm screen, his eyes blazing with fury and desperation. I smiled, cold and calculating. This was personal now. It was time to end this. I charged forward, my rifle blazing as I carved a path through the raiders' crumbling defenses. Maya and the Zeridians fought with ferocity, their determination to protect their homeworld palpable. Kale's hacking had given us the opening we needed, and now it was up to us to capitalize on it. Victor's face continued to taunt me on the comm screen, his anger and frustration growing with each passing moment. I reveled in his distress, my focus laser-sharp as I targeted the raiders' command center. A barrage of plasma fire rained down on us, but I dodged and weaved, my reflexes honed to perfection. Maya and the Zeridians fought valiantly, their battle cries echoing across the ravaged landscape. The raiders' defenses began to crumble, their ranks disintegrating as we pushed forward. I could sense the tide of battle shifting in our favor, the momentum building with each passing moment. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the ground beneath my feet. I stumbled, nearly losing my balance as the command center erupted in a blaze of flames and debris. Victor's screams of rage and fury filled the comm screen, his eyes bulging with madness. I grinned, cold and calculating. This was it, the final blow. With a fierce battle cry, I charged forward, Maya and the Zeridians at my side. We stormed the ruins of the command center, cutting down any remaining raiders who dared to stand in our way. As we fought, I caught glimpses of Victor's face on the comm screen, his anger and desperation growing with each passing moment. I could feel the net closing around him, the noose tightening as we closed in for the kill. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, we reached the heart of the command center. Victor LaSalle stood before me, his eyes blazing with fury and hatred. "It's over," I said, my voice cold and detached. "You've lost, Victor. It's time to pay the price." Victor sneered, his lips curling into a snarl. "Y'all never take me alive, Ambrose. I'll die before I let you drag me before the Galactic Council." I smiled, my heart pounding with excitement. This was it, the final showdown. "Try me," I said, my finger tightening on the trigger. The air was electric with tension as we faced off, the fate of the galaxy hanging precariously in the balance. I knew one thing for certain: only one of us would walk away from this fight alive. The silence was palpable, the only sound the heavy breathing of the two enemies locked in a fierce stare-down. Victor's eyes seemed to burn with an inner fire, his pupils constricting to pinpoints as he glared at me with unbridled hatred. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The battle raging outside, the screams of the wounded, the crackle of flames, all of it faded into the background as Victor and I faced off in a silent, primal duel. Then, in a flash of movement, Victor lunged at me, his blaster firing wildly as he tried to catch me off guard. I dodged to the side, my rifle firing in response as I tried to pin him down. The air was filled with the acrid smell of smoke and ozone as our blasters clashed, the sound of our shots echoing off the walls of the ruined command center. Maya and the Zeridians fought to keep the remaining raiders at bay, their battle cries echoing in the background as they tried to secure our flanks. But I barely registered their presence, my entire focus fixed on the man before me. Victor LaSalle, the man who had orchestrated the downfall of humanity, who had betrayed his own kind and brought the galaxy to the brink of chaos. I squeezed off another round, my shot ripping through Victor's shoulder and sending him stumbling backward. He howled in pain, his eyes flashing with a mixture of anger and fear as he realized his time was running out. "It's over, Victor," I repeated, my voice rising above the din of battle. "You've lost. It's time to face justice." Victor's response was a snarl of defiance, his blaster firing wildly as he stumbled forward. I dodged the shots with ease, my reflexes honed to perfection as I closed in for the kill. But just as I was about to deliver the final blow, a sudden explosion rocked the command center, the walls shuddering and groaning as the very foundations of the structure seemed to tremble. I stumbled, my footing uncertain as the ground seemed to lurch beneath me. Victor took advantage of the distraction, his blaster firing point blank as he tried to catch me off guard. I raised my rifle, my heart racing as I realized I was a hair's breadth from death. But it was too late. The shot hit me with the force of a sledgehammer, sending me crashing to the ground as the world around me went dark. When I came to, I was lying on a cold, metallic surface, my head pounding and my vision blurry. Maya's face swam into focus above me, her eyes etched with concern as she peered down at me. "Ambrose, can you hear me?" she whispered, her voice urgent. I groaned, my throat dry and parched. What? What happened?" I stammered, my words slurred and uncertain. Maya's face hardened, her jaw clenched in determination. "Victor escaped," she growled. "He must have had a hidden exit, but we'll get him, Ambrose. We'll make him pay for what he's done." I nodded, my vision clearing as I struggled to sit up. The command center was in shambles, the walls cracked and broken, the air thick with the smell of smoke and ozone. But I barely registered it, my mind fixed on one thing: Victor LaSalle, the man who had betrayed humanity and brought the galaxy to the brink of chaos. I would get him. I would make him pay. And I would stop at nothing to ensure that justice was served. As I pushed myself to my feet, Maya steadied me with a firm grip on my arm. The room spun around me, but I gritted my teeth, refusing to yield to the dizziness. My rifle lay nearby and I snatched it up, feeling a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. "We need to get out of here," Maya warned, her eyes darting around the devastation. "The Council's forces will be on our heels soon." I nodded, my mind racing. Victor had escaped, but I knew his trail wouldn't go cold. I had resources, allies, and a burning desire for vengeance. I would track him down, no matter the cost. With Maya by my side, we made our way through the ravaged command center, avoiding fallen debris and dodging the occasional stray shot. The battle outside had died down, but I knew it was only a temporary reprieve. The Council would regroup, and their next attack would be even more ruthless. As we emerged into the bright, harsh light of day, I squinted against the glare. The city lay in ruins around us, smoke billowing from the wreckage of buildings and the skeletal remains of skyscrapers. But I saw something else, too, a glimmer of hope. Survivors, huddled together in small groups, watched us warily. They knew who I was, the man who had defied the Council and brought hope to a desperate humanity. And in that moment, I knew I had a new task ahead of me. Not just to hunt down Victor, but to rebuild, to unite, and to forge a new future for humanity. Maya followed my gaze, her eyes understanding. "We need to get to the safe house," she whispered. "The Zeridians are waiting for us. Well, regroup, rearm, and plan our next move." I nodded, a plan already forming in my mind. "We'll need to send out scouts, gather intelligence on the Council's movements. We can't let them catch us off guard again." Maya nodded, her face set in determination. Together, we moved through the ruins, our footsteps echoing off the broken buildings. We had lost a battle, but the war was far from over. As we walked, I glanced up at the sky, my eyes tracing the horizon. The galaxy awaited, full of mystery and danger. But I knew one thing: humanity would rise again, stronger, more resilient, and more united than ever before. The silence between Maya and me was comfortable, a companionable quiet that spoke of shared purpose and unshakable trust. We had faced the abyss together and emerged scarred but unbroken. Finally, we reached the safe house, a nondescript building in a labyrinthine alleyway. The Zeridians waited for us, their leader, Zorvath, greeting me with a solemn nod. "Ambrose Wynter," she said, her voice grave. "The Council will not stop until they have crushed humanity beneath their heel. But we will not let that happen. We will stand with you against all odds." I smiled, a fierce sense of determination burning within me. "Then let us begin," I said, my voice echoing through the dimly lit room. "Let us forge a new path, one that will lead humanity to greatness and leave the Council in the dust." The room erupted into a flurry of activity, plans and strategies unfolding like a tapestry of defiance. And I stood at the center, the leader, the beacon of hope in a galaxy torn apart by conflict and uncertainty. The war was far from over, but one thing was certain: humanity would rise again, and I would be the one to lead them into a brighter, bolder future. I paced the cramped, dimly lit room, my mind racing with possibilities and strategies. Maya and Zorvath flanked me, their faces etched with concern and determination. The Zeridians bustled around us, their soft chirping and whispered conversations a gentle hum of activity. "We need to move quickly," I said, my voice low and urgent. "The Council won't hesitate to strike again. We must be prepared." Maya nodded, her eyes scanning the room. "We have a network of allies and informants scattered throughout the galaxy. I can reach out to them, gather intel on the Council's plans." Zorvath stepped forward, her slender hands clasped together. "My people are skilled in the art of sabotage. We can infiltrate key Council installations, disrupt their supply chains and communication networks." I nodded, my mind working overtime. "I want to know everything about the Council's new shipyards. Where are they? How many vessels are they producing, and what's their production timeline?" Maya scribbled notes on a datapad, her brow furrowed in concentration. "I'll get to work on that immediately." I turned to Zorvath. "Can your people get inside the shipyards, gather information from the inside?" Zorvath's eyes gleamed with a fierce intensity. "We have already placed agents within the shipyard's administrative staff. They will provide us with the necessary information." I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was our chance to turn the tables, to strike back at the council and show them we wouldn't be intimidated. As the planning continued, the room grew hotter, the air thick with tension and anticipation. I knew that with Maya and Zorvath by my side, we could accomplish anything. We would rebuild, we would unite, and we would forge a new future for humanity. The war was far from over, but I was ready. I was Ambrose Wynter, the leader of humanity's Defiance, and I would stop at nothing to ensure our survival. With a final nod, I turned to leave, Maya and Zorvath falling into step beside me. The hallway outside was dimly lit, the walls scarred and battered, but I saw only the future bright, bold, and full of possibility. As we walked, I felt a strange, tingling sensation in the air. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but I knew what it was. A transmission, encoded and hidden, beamed directly into my comms device. My heart raced as I stopped, my hand reaching for the device. "What is it?" Maya asked, her voice low and urgent. I hesitated, my mind racing. "I'm not sure," I admitted, "but I think it might be from Victor." Maya's eyes narrowed. What could he want? I took a deep breath, my fingers hovering over the device. Only one way to find out. With a slow, deliberate movement, I activated the transmission. The air seemed to vibrate with tension as Victor's voice echoed in my ear. "Ambrose," he said, his tone dripping with malice. "You're a fool for thinking you can defeat the council, but I'll give you credit, you're more resourceful than I expected. Meet me on the planet of Zeridiroman 4 alone. We have business to discuss." The transmission ended, leaving me staring into the darkness. Maya and Zorvath watched me, their faces tense with concern. "What do you think he wants?" Maya asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I smiled, a cold, calculated smile. "I think he wants to try and turn the tables on me, but I have a surprise waiting for him." With a slow, deliberate movement, I tucked the comms device away. "Let's get to work, my friends. We have a trap to set." I turned to Maya and Zorvath, my eyes locked on theirs. "Get our people moving. I want a team assembled and ready to depart for Zeridiroman 4 within the hour. We'll need a mix of our best fighters, hackers, and strategists." Maya nodded, already tapping away at her datapad. "I'll assemble the team and brief them on the mission parameters." Zorvath's eyes gleamed with excitement. "I'll prepare a squad of Zeridian saboteurs to escort you, Ambrose. Well, make sure you have the necessary backup." I nodded, my mind racing with the possibilities. I want our people to be prepared for anything. Victor's not a man to be underestimated, and I'm sure he has a few tricks up his sleeve. As Maya and Zorvath dispersed to carry out their tasks, I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation settle onto my shoulders. This was my chance to confront Victor, to outmaneuver him and turn the tables on the council. I made my way to the makeshift command center, a converted storage room deep within the heart of our stronghold. The room was a hive of activity, with technicians and analysts scrambling to prepare for our departure. I took a moment to survey the room, my eyes scanning the rows of terminals and data screens. We were as ready as we could be, given the time constraints. Now, it was up to me to face Victor and come out on top. With a deep breath, I turned to Maya, who was waiting by the exit. "Let's move out. We have a trap to set." The journey to Zeridiroman 4 was tense, the silence between Maya and me punctuated only by the soft hum of the ship's engines. I could feel the weight of Victor's words, the malice and condescension dripping from every syllable. As we entered Zeridia's atmosphere, I felt a shiver run down my spine. This was the moment of truth. Would I be able to outwit Victor, or would he have the upper hand? The ship landed with a gentle thud, and I stood, my heart pounding in my chest. Maya joined me, her eyes locked on mine. "You ready for this?" she asked, her voice low and urgent. I nodded, a cold, calculated smile spreading across my face. I was born ready. With a deep breath, I stepped out into the bright, Zeridian sunlight, my eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of Victor. The air was thick with anticipation, and I knew that this was the moment that would decide the course of humanity's future. As I walked, the landscape unfolding before me like a canvas of dusty reds and oranges, I felt a strange pinging sensation in the back of my mind. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but I knew what it was. A warning, a message from an unknown sender, echoing through the void. And in that moment, I knew that nothing was as it seemed. I paused, my senses on high alert as I turned to Maya. "Wait," I whispered, my eyes scanning the horizon. "Do you feel that?" Maya's brow furrowed, her gaze narrowing. "Feel what?" I hesitated, unsure of how to explain. "It's a signal, I think. A warning." Maya's eyes locked onto mine, her expression serious. "From who?" I shook my head, my mind racing. "I don't know, but I think it's connected to Victor." Maya's hand instinctively went to her data pad, her fingers flying across the screen. "I'm not picking up anything," she muttered. I took a deep breath, trying to process the implications. This changed everything. If Victor wasn't acting alone, if he had allies or resources we didn't know about. "Maya, we need to be careful," I warned, my voice low and urgent. "We can't assume we know what we're walking into." Maya nodded, her eyes locked on mine. "I'll get the team on high alert." "Well, proceed with caution." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. This was getting more complicated by the minute. As we walked towards the designated meeting point, my senses on high alert, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into a trap. The landscape seemed to stretch out before us like a canvas of deceit, every rock and every dune hiding secrets and lies. The air was thick with tension, the silence between Maya and me punctuated only by the soft crunch of gravel beneath our feet. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the horizon, tall and imposing. Victor, his eyes locked onto mine, a cold, calculating smile spreading across his face. "Ambrose," he drawled, "so good of you to come." I smiled, my heart pounding in my chest. This was at the moment of truth. Would I be able to outwit Victor, or would he have the upper hand? "I've been waiting for you, Victor," I said, my voice low and even. "You have something that belongs to me." Victor's eyes glinted with amusement. "Oh, I don't think so, Ambrose. I think you'll find that I have the upper hand here." I raised an eyebrow, my senses on high alert. What did he mean? What secrets was he hiding? "Let's talk, Victor," I said, my voice dripping with menace. "I'm tired of games." Victor chuckled, the sound sending shivers down my spine. "Oh, this isn't a game, Ambrose. This is checkmate." As he spoke, the landscape around us began to shift, the ground trembling beneath our feet. I felt the air thicken, the warning signal in my mind growing louder. What was happening? What did Victor have planned? I took a step forward, my eyes locked on Victor's. "You're not going to win, Victor. I won't let you." Victor's smile grew wider, his eyes glinting with malice. "We'll see about that, Ambrose. We'll see about that." And with that, the world around us erupted into chaos. The ground trembled beneath our feet as the warning signal in my mind reached a deafening pitch. Maya's hand instinctively went to her data pad, her eyes scanning the horizon. "What's happening?" she whispered, her voice laced with alarm. I shook my head, my eyes fixed on Victor. "I don't know, but I think it's connected to him." The air was electric with tension, the silence between us punctuated only by the sound of rumbling earth and the creaking of rocks. The landscape around us seemed to be unraveling, the very fabric of reality tearing apart. Victor's smile grew wider, his eyes glinting with an unholy excitement. "You should have stayed out of this, Ambrose," he taunted. "You should have let me play my game." Suddenly, a blast of energy erupted from the ground, sending us flying. I landed hard on the gravel, my head spinning. Maya was by my side in an instant, helping me to my feet. "What just happened?" she demanded, her eyes scanning the horizon. I shook my head, my mind reeling. "I don't know, but we need to get out of here. Now." We turned to run, but it was too late. A massive structure was rising from the earth, its walls towering above us like a monolith. The air was thick with energy, the warning signal in my mind screaming at me to get out, to escape. Victor's laughter echoed through the air, his voice dripping with triumph. "You should have listened, Ambrose," he taunted. "You should have stayed away." I turned to face him, my eyes blazing with fury. "This isn't over, Victor," I snarled. "You haven't won yet." Victor's smile grew wider, his eyes glinting with malice. "Oh, but I have," he said. "I've won the game, and you, Ambrose, are just a pawn." As he spoke, the structure behind him began to glow, its energy building to a crescendo. I knew then that we were in grave danger, that Victor's plan was far more sinister than I had ever imagined. Maya's hand closed around my arm, her eyes locked on mine. "We need to get out of here," she whispered. "Now." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. It was time to escape, to regroup and come up with a new plan. But as we turned to run, I felt a strange sensation, a tingling in my mind. It was a signal, a warning, a message from an unknown source. What did it mean? What was it trying to tell me? I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. And in that moment of hesitation, everything changed. The world around us went dark, the energy from the structure surging through me like a tidal wave. I felt myself being pulled apart, my mind shattering into 1,000 pieces. And when the darkness finally receded, I was left staring up at Victor's triumphant face, my mind reeling with the implications. What had just happened? What had Victor done to me? As I struggled to my feet, my eyes locked on Victor's, I knew that I was in grave danger. The game had changed and I was no longer in control. But I refused to give up. I refused to surrender. I would find a way to outwit Victor, to turn the tables and emerge victorious. And as I stood tall, my eyes blazing with determination, I knew that the real battle was only just beginning. I took a step forward, my eyes locked on Victor's, my heart pounding in my chest. Maya's hand closed around my arm, her grip tight with worry. "Ambrose, what's going on?" she whispered. I shook my head, my mind racing. I didn't know what Victor had done to me, but I knew it was bad. The sensation of being pulled apart still lingered, my thoughts feeling disjointed and fragmented. Victor's smile grew wider, his eyes glinting with amusement. "You should be grateful, Ambrose," he said. "I've given you a gift, a glimpse into the true nature of the universe." I snarled, my anger simmering just below the surface. "You've done something to my mind," I accused. Victor chuckled. "Oh no, I've simply opened your eyes. You should be thankful. You're now aware of the hidden forces that shape our reality." I felt a shiver run down my spine. What did Victor mean? What hidden forces was he talking about? Maya's grip on my arm tightened. "Ambrose, we need to get out of here." "Now," I nodded, my eyes never leaving Victor's. "We'll leave," I said. "But this isn't over. I'll find a way to reverse what you've done." Victor's laughter echoed through the air, his voice dripping with confidence. "You can't reverse it, Ambrose. You can't even comprehend it. You're just a pawn in a much larger game." I took a step forward, my fists clenched. "I'll show you what I'm capable of," I snarled. But before I could take another step, the air around us began to distort. A figure emerged from the shadows, its presence commanding attention. "Victor," it said. "You've gone too far." I recognized the figure. It was Erebus, the enigmatic leader of the celestial faction. Victor's smile faltered, his eyes flicking to Erebus. "You wouldn't dare," he said. Erebus's eyes glinted with power. "I would dare anything to protect the balance of the universe." With a flick of his hand, Erebus summoned a wave of energy that crashed down on Victor. The traitor stumbled back, his eyes wide with fear. I took advantage of the distraction, grabbing Maya's hand and pulling her towards the safety of our ship. We had to get out of there, had to regroup and come up with a new plan. As we ran, I could feel the weight of Erebus's gaze on me. I knew that I owed him a debt, one that I would have to repay sooner or later. We reached the ship, bursting through the hatch and slamming it shut behind us. I activated the engines, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline as we lifted off into the skies. I turned to Maya, my eyes locked on hers. "We need to find a way to reverse what Victor did to me," I said. "We need to find a way to restore my mind." Maya's eyes were filled with determination. "We'll find a way, Ambrose. We'll find a way together." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew that I wasn't alone, that I had Maya and Erebus on my side. But as we flew through the skies, I couldn't shake off the feeling that Victor's plan was far from over, that the real battle was only just beginning, and I knew that I would have to be ready.